Majojan, Nad, Juanito, and Acamal, Mexico. There's enough breeze today, you can see things blowing around there, that it would affect the sound quality of this video. So I've taken shelter behind one of the dugouts in the baseball field. So here's the baseball field at the edge of the Pueblo. And this is a dugout, not literally dugout. And I'm behind it to get out of the wind. And this is part 2 of my story. It's all in the theme of becoming a bigger person by doing something physically you thought you couldn't do. And that's all been stimulated by meeting my new martial arts teacher and the fact that I'm going to start getting my body challenged and my whole energy system. And he doesn't just know about how to move bodies, he knows about energy, and that's what I'm all about. So part 2 of the story of Eric, my black roommate who had been humiliated by a racist neighbor, and my choice to fight the guy. So I left off where the guy had insulted Eric behind the building. Eric just had to beat him up, but Larry Williams, the other black man in the building, came around and broke it up. And Eric shows up in my apartment enraged and humiliated and feeling helpless. And I go, okay, we'll do something about this. Let's brainstorm. We will tell the story around the building and ruin his reputation. Well, I knew that wasn't going to pacify Eric, and it happened anyway. Okay, we'll go to the building. We'll take the issue to the building and see what they can do about this. That was bullshit. I knew that wasn't going to help. So I swear, a lot of my pacifist neighbors won't agree with this, my friends, that this came from God, but it sure felt to me like it came from some other place. And I said, I got it, Eric. And Eric was like 6'2", strong as an ox in his own words, very black man. And we were intimate. We were really, really great buddies. We were loving each other. Says, yeah, what are we going to do? I said, not we, me, I got this one. Well, what are you going to do? I'm going to beat him up. And we both laughed really hard. And Eric said, when was the last time you did that? Little strimpy 73-year-old clinical psychologist, white middle-class guy. Well, I haven't done it in this lifetime, but I've got a good feeling about it. And I really did. I got super excited. Like, this is exact. Not only was I going to beat him up, but over the hours from, I guess, the next day, I found out when he came back from work, because he was working part-time, what kind of car he was driving, where he parked. And I plotted the whole thing. And I wasn't going to just beat him up. I had rehearsed in my mind how I would get his ankle at an angle where I could crush it, so he would never walk normal. We would teach him a lesson, and for all the other racists in the world, well, it sure didn't play out that way. But I implemented the plan. I laid in wait for him. And when his car pulled in was the only time I got scared, because this is a guy who'd never been in a fight in my life. Never threw a punch. And he pulls in and I get nervous. Well, I'm a performance poet, and a slogan that works for me there is anxiety plus breath equals excitement. It always works for performing poetry, and it worked for this. I took a deep breath and I felt great again. Cold day in February, he pulls to the far end of the parking lot. He sees me moving slowly towards him. He knows what's up, comes out of the car holding a big metal flashlight. And I also have a theater background, and I played it to the hilt. I took off my heavy coat, threw it to the side. Took off my down vest, threw it to the side. Took off my glasses, did not throw them, set them down gently on top of the vest, and said, Alan, it was before George Floyd. This was before the whole George Floyd thing. Alan, it's 2020, you can't pull that shit anymore. So he tried to run around one side, and I blocked him. We scuffled. He got loose. Tried to run around the other side. We scuffled. He got loose. And finally he got around me and headed back to the building. I was embarrassed about my fighting ability and going, shit, Eric Eric's still going to have to finish this because he was watching out the 5th floor window. And from the building, Alan yells, "I'm calling the cops." And I said, "Bring on the cops." I was expecting that. So they didn't come, and I went in the building, and they were interviewing Alan in one of the offices. This is a subsidized seniors apartment building. And I stood at the door. One of the cops comes out and says, "You the other guy?" "Yeah, wait over here. We'll take your story next." So they came out and took my story, and I said, "It was a bullshit fight. 2 guys who didn't know how to fight. Nobody landed one. Nobody went down. It was a nothing." She says, "He says you hit him, and he's got a red mark on his forehead." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Don't get excited. He's pressing charges." I said, "I don't care about charges. If I landed one, Eric maybe won't have to do anything." So as they cuffed me and put me in the patrol car, and as they were taking me down to the station house in downtown Asheville, which was just a few blocks away, there had been 3 women cops, and the cops in Asheville genuinely were about serve and protect. It was a real progressive town. So on the way down, one of the cops asked me, "So let me get this straight. You hit that guy so that your black friend wouldn't because you thought the justice system would go easier on you?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Awesome. Good work." That's what the cop said to me. "Awesome. Good work. Nobody's going to hold you for that in this town." And they didn't. It was a few hours till I saw a magistrate and they let me out. And there was a delay because of COVID. And then finally he didn't show up and the charges got dropped. But it made a difference. It made a huge difference in my psychology. Suddenly I was not a coward anymore. Suddenly I was someone who not only would intervene, and it did have a history of intervening in situations where I could get hit. But this is where I picked a fight. And the next day I was driving down the road, and out of the blue I went, "Yes, I'm a fighter." and when this woman in the building, who was a noted Buddhist, says to me, "Well, I hope you got that out of your system," I said, "I think next time's going to be easier." And it would have been, because I was ready to do it again. I had crossed that line. And it hasn't happened even though I've had bullies around me, but I back them off with the force of my words and my sound. And they go, "Fuck, what's up with this guy?" And nobody's called my bluff yet. So, yeah, changed me. I'm a changed man from that one experience. I'm not afraid. And over the course of the last 5 years, I've gotten less afraid and less afraid. And I can tell lots of stories, kind of off topic for martial arts, but there's been lots of incidents where people intend to intimidate me and they find out they can't. They just can't. No, they can't. All right.